how do you properly kill somebody? What's the proper method for killing a person?
Texas has certainly had enough practice. And under its big skies inside the high-security death row unit, another 254 prisoners wait their turn. When the day comes, with any final appeal exhausted, they're taken from their solitary cell to Huntsville Prison's death house, strapped to a gurney and given a lethal injection. It's a process that Texas repeats week on week, month on month, with alarming regularity. But beyond this place, there is every indication that America's willingness to put people to death is waning. Pat Monks is Texan and a Republican, but here's the surprise: he's against the death penalty.
A barbiturate that takes 27 minutes to do is not a proper way to do it. Hanging a person is not a proper way to do it. Electrocution, not a proper way to do it. Guillotine, quick, but not a proper way to do it. How do you properly kill somebody?
He tells other conservatives it costs the state 3 to 5 times more to seek a death penalty than to put somebody away for life. And there's no evidence the threat of it prevents serious crime.
You know, it's not an issue of being tough on crime. Are we right on crime? See? Are we doing the right thing? You know, are we spending taxpayers' money and putting the wrong people on death row? And is it doing the job? You know, is it really doing the job?
In conservative Nebraska, they decided not.
The trend is absolutely clear, and it's high time the state moved away from the barbaric practice of state-sponsored murder.
Last month, it became the first conservative state in 40 years to abolish capital punishment.
Voting yes, certain changes.
Voting to overturn a veto by the governor and further isolating Texas and its enthusiastic embrace of the death penalty.
What is justice? Is it revenge? Is it retribution? Is it punishment? Is it vengeance?
On the road to Huntsville, the spiritual home of the prison system in Texas, there's a prisoner's graveyard. Many of the headstones bear only numbers, not names. Among those buried here, a scattering of the more than 500 prisoners Texas has put to death in the last 40 years. Huntsville Prison, where the prisoners are executed, is smack bang in the middle of town. Half the town's population is either prison warder or prisoner. Under this watchtower, at the corner of the prison walls, is the place they call the death house.
This is the death house. Right under there is the death chamber, and the executioner's in a little room in the very corner.
Jim Willet talks us around the model of the prison that's the centrepiece of the town's museum. He has intimate knowledge of the death house. As prison warden, he personally oversaw the execution of 89 prisoners. His faith in the system remains unshakable.
I always looked at my job, though, as being a job for the state and a cog in a wheel.
But you're a pretty significant cog in the wheel, weren't you, in the sense that I'm guessing if you're a death row inmate hoping to the very last that this isn't going to happen, then you're going to be the last guy in the room who potentially that inmate is saying to you, I'm innocent, I don't want to die.
The warden and the chaplain would be the last people he could talk to. But I have to say, too, that out of the 89, I never had anybody say anything like that.
He's now warden of the museum that celebrates the Texan history of punishment. Adults pay $5, children under 6 enter free to see displays featuring the hangman's noose, the electric chair and paraphernalia of the first lethal injection. Why did you move from electric chair to lethal injection?
I believe we were looking for a more humane way to put someone to death.
Now the Supreme Court is set to rule on whether certain lethal injections are humane or in fact death by cruel and unusual punishment. An EU drugs embargo has squeezed supplies, prompting ever more experimental combinations. When Oklahoma added a new drug to its lethal mix, death row inmate Clayton Lockett took 37 minutes to die.
No.
But down in Texas, where they deliver an overdose of a single barbiturate, they say they've never had those kinds of problems.
Maybe somebody else has a problem sometimes because they don't do as many as we do in Texas.
And as long as Texas can get the drugs, Jim Willet says there's no reason to believe things will change.
Here in Texas, we're going to tell you that there are certain things that if you commit certain crimes, we're going to consider putting you to death.
And so you think it makes you safer if you have that?
It may make us safer, but I think in When you dig deep inside us, it's because we think it's the right thing to do.
So it's right. There's a secret supply of barbiturates and hundreds of prisoners on death row. Supreme Court or no, Texas isn't volunteering to give up its executing habit anytime soon. Kylie Morris, Channel 4 News, Huntsville.
So, if that hearing doesn't find in your favour on Tuesday,
Thursday I'll be dead. I'm at peace today, so I have no problem laying down on that ground to accept whatever the state trying to do to me. But it's not going to change the fact that they're strapping an innocent man to a bunk and inserting drugs in him just to get their satisfaction.